So here we have the gardener out of his natural habitat, and he's in the bloody kitchen.
Are you lost?
Huh?
Are you lost?
Yeah.
Would you like me to direct you back to your
Where
greenhouse?
is this strange place?
As you may or may not know, Garry is not that domestic.
Yes, I am. I empty the dishwasher in the mornings. What the hell more do you want?
Don't get me started.
Seriously. Arisaema, candidissimum. It's we'll put some images up. We have some really nice photos of these. It's pink Arisaema. These have been in these little organza bags now for, where are we to? July, August, September, October, nearly 4 months actually. And they're great because obviously they do collect everything. I don't end up losing any. So there's quite a few in here. So I now have to get them out of the bags and wash off the pulp, which is the soft covering on the seeds. It's a natural germinator inhibitor. Need to get it washed off before I get at the seeds. Now this can irritate the skin, so you can wear gloves while doing it, or you can do it the way I'm going to do it, which we'll show you. So I'm going to try and open up the bag. There we go. Tip the contents into that bag. Oh, and you'll be glad to hear this episode is back to plants. Had enough of all this bloody building crap stuff. We're back to plants. So we're going to sow some of these. I've also got a pot out there of odor corms that we're going to knock out and see what they're looking like. Deal with those. And then we're going to go on and do some tree peony seed. So anyway, back to these guys. So in the bag.
So let me just explain, Garry.
This is
the kitchen sink.
Yeah. Oh, okay. What happens in here? Is it for cleaning seed and things?
Generally no, but I take it you're going to.
Yeah. That's bit's no good. That seed never ripened enough. So we're not bothered with that little piece. So we have them in the bag, so I'm just going to scrunch these up with my fingers. This is that, literally just you. Yeah. Now, of course, in the wild, in their natural habitat, which I'm not in today, these would just eventually be taken into the ground, germinate, and grow no problem. But of course, because we're gardeners, because we're nurserymen, we always want to try and speed this process up. So once we've done that, we're going to put a little bit of water in there. Get rid of some of the pulp that's in here now. Any that are floating aren't going to be any good. They've not been scrunched enough. No, I need to put those back in and mush them up a bit more. So there's actually more there than I thought. We're going to take this outside into the potting shed now, and I can get all the extra bit of pulp out of the way. Now the other thing is, this is what we call an ephemeral seed. You mustn't let them dry out. If you let them dry out, you're pretty well going to reduce germination rates by at least half, if not more. So with these guys, they really need sowing fresh. So you're not going to get a lot fresher than this. And then we'll take them out of the potting shed, and then I'll show you what I'm potting them in and the conditions they need to hopefully succeed. So, yep, let's get back outside.
Feel better now?
Yeah. Back where he belongs. Back where the gardener belongs, in his potting shed. Right, so bag full of mush with some really nice white seed. Some of them have still got pulp on them. Anyway, let's tip this out, see what we got. That's a nice bit of seed, that. There's my little fork. So Still a bit of pulp on some of them. Actually, there's quite a bit of pulp on some of them still. And rub off the worst of it anyway, at least. The more pulp I can get off, the better, because it does inhibit germination. Now, that's not too bad. Yeah, so I've got the pulp off most of them now, one or two still, but I'll get that off when I pop them in. So we're going to put these into a woodland type, really free draining compost. No fertilizer. There's a little bit of fertilizer in here, actually, because there was a few old pots I knocked out. I use old compost a lot, especially for seed sowing, and especially for seed that is going to be in the pot for several years. Actually, these will probably be in the pot for at least 2, maybe even 3 years before I do anything with them.
So what's actually in this compost?
So this has got a mix. This is the mix that we buy, which has got a mix of peat, perlite, and wood fiber. I've added to it some of my wood chips, which is all larch, actually, which came with us from our previous property, and then also gravel, my usual 4 mil granite gravel chip stuff. And again, it's a for me, it's always a feel thing. I mean, that just feels good. It's breaking apart. It will slump in the pot because it's going to be in there for a while. But again, it's free draining. These things want to be kept moist at all times. So we're going to fill the pot up. It's the usual process, nothing fancy. Give it a shake. Little tap, and that's pretty well it. Now I got to figure out how I'm going to pick these things up. I think the old fork's the best way. It shows you they're quite a decent size seed, that they're not falling through the prongs of the fork. And then I'm going to spread them out roughly. Again, nothing fancy. And if there's a couple that are a little too close, let's flick them apart a bit further. So that's some of them. So I'll go on and sow the rest of these and come back in a minute when I've got them all sown. Okay, so all scattered around, just about fits in there. There's about 75, which, I mean, all things considered, that's pretty good. So just to show you the difference, so this side is a nice good plump seed. And then these 3 here are flat, they're no good. So there's nothing in them, so they're not going to germinate. So there's your difference between a good seed and bad seed. So if you ever buy Arisaema and they come looking like that, you've kind of been, no, that's not the right word. You've been diddled. How about that? You've been diddled. I like that word. So I've spread them all out as best I can. Oh, label. I didn't just drop that on the floor, did I? No. So I put the label in. One of the nice things about doing this YouTube stuff, I don't have to put a date on here anymore. Because if I forget when I sowed it, I just look up the video. So anyway, this is...
But generally, you would put a date on.
I'll put the date on it then. So what are we to now? 20...
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll call it 29th of the 10th, 25.
There we go.
So that'll go in there. I know I'm not going to push any seed down because I can see. And so once we've done that, we're just going to gently, as usual, just firm them down. Same process as I go through almost with everything I sow. And then just a sprinkling. And it is just a sprinkle, not even trying to cover the seed, actually. And then we're going to cover them with gravel. Usual gravel. Granite. Picked up some new supplies last week. And then just a nice sprinkling. You can see how deep I'm going with this because I've left a little bit right at the edge there. So you can see I'm putting it on probably about 1/4 inch thick. Because again, this is going to be on there for a while. So that's job done for the sowing. Now we'll take you out in a minute and show you where they're going to spend the next, certainly the whole winter anyway. But before we do that, I have a pot here of Arisaema, same variety. These came off of my parent plants, and then the seed was sown, I don't know, probably 3 years ago, maybe longer actually, because there's no label on these. Could be longer, but yeah. At least 3 years ago, maybe even 4 seasons ago. Would have been 4 years ago this time of the year. And then they were pricked out into this pot, and they've been sat in this. They've been growing on in this pot for 2 years at least, could be 3. Not quite sure, and that's back to me not putting labels on, but it really didn't matter to me. So I don't know what these are going to be like. We're going to knock them out. We're going to find out for ourselves. I'm hoping there'll be 1 or 2 in here that will be big enough that I'll be able to sell them next spring, but I don't know. So let's have a dig around and see what we've got in here. They'll be a ways down. They always are. These guys will pull themselves down in the compost. Here we are. There's one. Right there. So now I know where they are. I'm going to knock them out properly. So here we have the results of 4 years waiting. So we got 1, 2. So okay, all been knocked out. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 tiddlers, and then we have 4 what I class as sort of medium-sized juniors, and then we have 3 decent-sized ones, and then 1 larger one. I think the larger one may flower next year, but certainly the 4 larger ones I'm going to put into individual pots. And then the 4 sort of medium-sized ones, I'll probably do the same with them. The 4 tiddlers I'm going to put into a pot together because there's no way they're going to be ready. And then depending on what these things look like next year, whether we decide to sell them or not, I don't know. I may take them. So I'd like to have them in flower. I really would like to see them flowering when I'm trying to sell them, but we'll have to wait and see. And one thing with Arisaema, and especially this variety, candidissimum, it flowers really late. I mean, so many times I've been out when they were planted out and thought, oh, I've lost it, it's not coming back. And then you don't go and look for 2 or 3 days and all of a sudden it's got a shoot on it 3-4 inches long. But they do come late. Sometimes I'm not seeing these come out of the ground until mid-June.
That's pretty late.
Yeah, it is late, yeah. So, if you're doing seed or you plant one of these as a corm, don't think that it's died if you're still looking in May and early June, because it still could come up. Now, when they're planted out, they want good, free draining, rich soil. So nice little leaf mold, if possible. They certainly don't want to be sat wet over the winter months, and part to fairly heavy shade. We had them planted out in our stumpery, and that was heavy shade, and they did really, really well there. And our climate here in Ontario is getting hotter and hotter and hotter every single year. So these things are getting to a point where they almost want heavy shade, not just partial shade. So anyway, those I'm going to pot up later. I'm not going to show you that process. This pot of seeds is going to go out to the cold frame. But what we're going to do next is I'll take this out, but we're also going to sow some tree peony seed, which we collected from our previous property. So if Julie meets me at the cold frame, we'll have a look at doing that. Let's go. Come on. So the Arisaema are going to go into this frame here. It's in a fair amount of shade, a bit more sun now, but the sun's really low, there's no heat. I've been busy over the last 2 or 3 days moving plants around. So all my hepatica seed has come from the deck went into the tunnel for a couple of days, and now I've bought it out, and most of it is going to sit here for the winter. All the white labeled ones you see will sit here for the whole winter. The black labeled ones, so the black labeled ones are Hepatica japonicas, and the white labeled ones are all Hepatica nobilis. The nobilis ones will be quite happy sat out here for the whole winter. The japonicas will not. They will have to go into the tunnel and be kept at about nothing colder than -4, -5. So I will do that a bit later when it cools off. But as for now, everything else is fine. And then there's a mix of other things. There's some tree peony seed from last year in here. There's some bulbs in here, all sorts of bits and pieces. I think there's some aranthus in here as well, which was sowed earlier this spring. So a lot of this stuff will go right through the winter, sat out here, be quite happy, freeze up, and then germinate hopefully next spring. So these peonies are just going to go in here if I can find a space for them. I haven't watered them yet. I'll water them once they're in here. I'm just running out of space everywhere, which is always a problem. So they'll sit there, and they'll just sit there. Arisaema, sorry. The Arisaema will just sit there for the whole winter, and they'll be quite happy. It'll freeze solid in here and be covered with snow. But I will put a polythene top on it, because I don't want stuff getting too wet. And obviously, it's completely netted in underneath and on top to keep the various critters out. So we're going to do some tree peony. This tree peony seed was collected about 6 or 7 weeks ago. Literally, I collected it the day before we moved. These are all Peony Suphatocosa rockii hybrids. Now, the original plants were given to me by a friend who's unfortunately passed away. But these were all collected off of our mother plants, parent plants, whatever you want to call them. And again, we do have some really nice photos of them. So this is going to be going in. So like I said, this was collected here's one I kept back. So that's what they kind of look like when they start to ripen on the plant. And then these have been sat in the workshop garage. And it's a case of just splitting them open and just knocking the seed out.
Satisfying job, isn't it?
Yes, it is quite satisfying, yeah. So these have got really dry now. Now, you read in many people say, oh, you've got to soak these before you sow them. And these are still fresh. I mean, they're fresh as you're going to get. And they're dry. But it's not going to matter because they're going out into a frame outside. I think for a lot of this plant material that I'm growing in particular, we have the perfect climate here. We're about a zone 5B-ish, and we have the really cold temperatures through the winter months, which for something like this, it needs it for the stratification. I don't need to throw these in a fridge. I can just plant them right out. They're now going to probably get at least 4 or 5 weeks of warmish weather. It's not going to freeze up. And then it's going to freeze up. And by the time these freeze up, they will have taken on all the moisture they need from the compost and from the ground underneath. And then hopefully some will germinate next spring. If not, they'll germinate the spring after. And again, it's a patience thing. These things could be 4 or 5 years before I see a flower on them. So let's show you where I'm putting them. Old cold frame. It is an old one, 2x6, 2x8, pressure treated. It's starting to rot. This one's been 1, 2, 3. This one's been to 4 of our properties. So it's at least probably 15 years old, but it's still fine. I mean, the only thing I've done with this one now is I have put wire netting on the base because I do not want the chipmunks or the mice getting in.
And this is that welded mesh.
That's a welded mesh, yeah. Yeah, it's no good putting chicken wire. They'll just come straight through the holes on that. So I put the welded mesh on the bottom, and then it will have a welded mesh cover on it, but it won't have any polythene on it. It'll be left open to the weather for the whole winter. And compost, it's a mix of all sorts. I mean, I've got old potting compost in the very bottom here. Mix, again, just stuff I've knocked out and a bit of dry stuff. And then there's also a bit of the old compost that our potatoes were growing in, which was originally manure, but I mean, it's 3 seasons old now, at least. So that, and then some gravel. So I'm just going to give this a bit of a mix. No fertilizer, don't need fertilizer. Again, chances are these things are going to be in here for probably, I want to say at least 2 years, maybe even 3 years. So there's no point putting fertilizer in, and seed do not need fertilizer to germinate and to grow. They have their own fertilizer supply in the seed. So they have their own little package. So I'm just going to spread this out. So we're all mixed up. A few leaves in here, doesn't matter. I don't need the whole frame. I'm going to put some other tree peony in there. I'm in the process of trying to bring in some new seed from Japan. There's a nursery out there that have, again, tree peony, Sufruticosa, rocky eye hybrids, but they have some spectacular colours and doubles. So I'm in the process of trying to do that, and if I can get that seed, that will go into the other side here. But for now, this is plenty enough. It's about 4.5 inches deep, and it's just going to be literally just broadcast it around. Now, germination rate on this, I don't expect anything better than about 50%. I'm disappointed if I don't get 50%. And as you can see, the seed is quite big. And there's already a difference here. You've got something like that, which probably actually is not fertile, compared to something beside it, which is really round and fat, which probably is. So we'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, they're not costing me any money. They're not costing me any compost. It's just a time thing. And I've got a space to do it. So I'm just going to give these a gentle tap in. I think too many people fuss too much when it comes to seed. I don't know. Mother Nature doesn't fuss. Mother Nature doesn't fuss around with things. They drop out of the tree, they drop out of the plant, into some soil, and hopefully they germinate. If they don't, you try it, plant tries again. So once that's done, then just going to give them a really good covering with the gravel.
And how thick are you putting the gravel
Again,
on
I'm
this?
probably going to put it on about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick, because this compost will slump, and when I say slump, it'll drop, because again, this is going to be here for a fair while. Now, we do have some pictures of the last lot of tree peony seed I did. So Julie will put that into the video, and also some pictures of the different colours that we have. So back on my knees again. I spend half of my life on my knees. So yeah, that's it. They're covered up. That's in the garden. I spend half of my life on my knees, or in the nursery, or in the greenhouse.
Okay.
Got that? Look, this is parent and child approved, you know. I think, apart from the last episode. Yeah, so that's it. They're pretty well. They're covered up. I will put a label in it just to keep the filming department happy with what it is. Or I know what it is with the date.
Thank you.
And like I said, I'm going to put a wire cover on this, staple it down because I'll probably staple it down because I don't know about these other tree peony seed yet. And then, yeah, that'll be left. I'm not going to water them in because we've got a ton of rain coming tonight, tomorrow, Friday. Water all these things in quite nicely. So that's it. Yeah, we'll just sit back and obviously we get germination in the spring. We'll follow up and we'll show you. But there's going to be nothing here to see for at least 6-7 months.
What are you doing?
What do you mean, what am I doing?
Why didn't you video this?
I put the bench up. Well, I've started putting it up.
I see that, Garry.
Yeah, but it's a bit boring. Just me putting up a bench, cursing and swearing now and again. But no, it's kind of up. So we got one bench up the center. This is about the 5th or 6th time I've put this up. It's getting harder and harder to put together. Just because.
We need to stop moving, Garry.
Yeah, I know we do. Yeah, stop moving the nursery anyway. So yeah, so this will be, we're going to actually insulate this. We're going to use some foam board. I'm not going to try and explain. You'll see as we do it.
That's if you remember to video it.
Yeah, if I remember to video it. So yeah, this one, it's sat on crates. It's not permanent. And I guess we ought to really tell you why. Originally, this was going to be, or we always thought this was going to be our shade tunnel. And then we were going to have a greenhouse next door. The greenhouse next door is not going to happen. I don't like the There's I don't quite know how to put this without insulting somebody. I don't trust the company.
Use words, Garry.
Yeah, use words. Okay, I don't trust the company I was going to buy it from. And to be honest, I can't find anybody else that can supply us with a greenhouse at an affordable price. There are several manufacturers here in Canada, but their pricing, it's just, you need to be a millionaire to be able to afford a nice greenhouse. So what we've decided to do is for this winter, we're going to make this our poly house. Obviously, you saw the previous video, so double skin, blow, and we're going to try and squeeze everything in here. It's going to be a little tight because, as you can see, I don't have everything in here yet, and it doesn't give me any room for new plants for next year because we have a lot of plants coming in the spring. So what we're going to do is make this the poly house for this winter. Then, if Julie follows me,
walk this way.
Walk this way. So next year, next spring, where the greenhouse was going to go, is that good English? Yeah, I guess it is. Where the greenhouse was going to go, I'm going to do some more excavating, and we're going to put in an 18-foot wide by another 52-foot long. It might, again, seems like a lot of work, I know, but what I'm going to do is we're going to put foam board sides on that one. So the foam board will be dropped into the ground. I'm going to heat part of it.
Excuse me.
Oh, foam board.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I keep forgetting. Foam board. This is what we call foam board. I use it a lot.
Now this is older sheets.
This is old sheets. I do have some new stuff coming to do on the bench. So it's basically, it's hard. I don't know, vinyl, plastic, whatever you want to call it, on both sides, and then it's insulation in between. I use it a lot for making coat frames. It's really good. So back to the new poly house. It's going to have foam board sides all the way around, which obviously helps insulate it. I'm going to heat part of it with underground heating, under soil heating. That'll get put in. Whether it gets connected up straight away, I don't expect so. And then there'll be other things with that. So then what we're going to do, we're going to do is going to take the poly off the house we have, put that onto what will be the new one, and then the existing one we have at the moment is going to be our shade house, which seems like a lot of work, but we have really not a lot of choice. So that's really where we are at the moment with everything. It's a bit of a turnaround, and it's going to cost us a little bit more money. And then down the road, once we get the garden, the vegetable garden, the ornamental garden up and running, which is going to be, we'll start it next year, but I'm going to still build a greenhouse, but that will be over in the ornamental vegetable garden. And
we are going to show people where these areas are going to be.
Oh yeah. We're at the moment, we know where it's going to be, and I've got a really good idea in my mind what it's going to be like, but I just haven't had no time to be able to put anything on paper. We're going to try and get some drone shots of it just to give people an outline, but we thought we'd better give everybody a chance. Well, why are they all of a sudden putting a poly house up? They said they were going to put shade up. Yeah, we were.
Garry changes his mind like the weather.
He does, yes. And I got more plants than no, I don't have more plants. The plants we have taken up a lot more space than I thought, and a lot of that was because at our previous property I had plants outside, I had plants all over the place. They weren't all in one greenhouse. Now they're all in one, and I can see we're going to be really, really tight for space. So that's a bit of a catch up on that. I'm going to get on with the bench. We will show you some more progress when that happens, but until next time, we will be, what am I doing next time? Oh, that's right, primula. Going to be sowing some primula seed that arrived earlier this week from France, from a supplier I have in France. So we're going to show you that. We're going to show you some of the pictures of what we're sowing, give you some advice on how to sow, how to look after them. So that's in the next one. Until then, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you then. Bye.